Hi there, everybody. My name's Jack Church. I'm a fourth year mechanical engineering student, and I'm actually studying a double degree with commerce. With me today is Paul Gizinski. Paul, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, my name is Paul Gizinski. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Energy Terrain. So I'm a Monash alumni. Similar to Jack, I studied mechanical engineering and I did a double degree mechanical and technology aerospace.
Mm-hmm. And today, Paul and I were just going to have a bit of a chat, a little bit of an interview about your career and engineering as a career in general. And to start off, I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about what your career has looked like so far and how you ended up at Energy Terrain.
My career this far has been marked by two events. The first big one was graduating from Monash and finding a job in my chosen field, which was aerospace, and working on the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. It was the natural development of my fascination with planes and rockets from a very young age. And the second event was marked by when my passion for sustainability overtook my love for planes. And that's when I decided to dedicate my time, my professional time, into the renewable energy industry, which is what I've been doing now for the last 12 years or so.
Mm-hmm. And I'm quite interested in that aerospace area myself. How did you get about getting your jobs straight out of university?
Right, well, my first job working for a company called GKN Aerospace was really a stroke of luck. And I mean that I graduated at exactly the right time, in exactly the right environment where the F-35 was in full swing around the world. It's a huge project, trillions of dollars worth of project. And I graduated in 2005 and they were looking for new graduates, and a number of us from Monash and also from RMIT were given roles at GKN. And it was a lot of fun. It was a great time. So a lot of luck, really. I mean, I put in one resume, I had one interview, and I got the call saying you've got a job. Now, I wish that is how it always works, but it's just not. And I worked that out later when wanting to make my shift into renewables. I had to work for it. And you know, so then I got a job at a company called Solar Systems, which was a large startup based in Melbourne. And then after that, I got a job at a large multinational called Acciona, where I was working on very large projects. I sort of got the dream of working on as a $1 billion project that I got to get involved with. And after 8 years there, I was working and being the project manager for a $250 million project of a wind farm. And that was very exciting stuff. But to get back to how did I get the job? Well, by working hard with getting the resume right, getting coaching on how to do interviews. And I think that taught me more. And I think that's a more realistic and more probable expectation of the world. When you leave uni, you've done 4, 5, maybe 6 years of study. It's really important to put the time, the hours into getting your resume right, getting your posture right. I'm probably not sitting very well right now, but just getting that right, and practicing your responses to questions and preparing for them, because it shows when you do that. So yeah, even though it was harder to get a job in a different field that I wanted to get into, I think I learned a lot more there and got a lot more value from it. I think that answers your question there, Jack.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. As an engineering student, my kind of philosophy or thoughts about the degree is most of the streams are quite general. And I was wondering if you could talk about some of the specifics of the projects that you worked on and what areas they correspond to in the mechanical degree in your case.
Yeah, it's a good question. I might use the example of the job that I had at Solar Systems. I was employed as an R&D graduate engineer, so research and development. And in terms of making the link to the things that you learn at university and those that you make, and then how you apply that knowledge in a real world setting, that was a perfect job to get. I was given access to a lab to test new ideas about the various cooling systems of these large scale concentrating solar systems. And I guess the point that I'm going to use your question to sort of answer, to put a bit of thought process that I had, which was that the what you get to learn at university, you're quite right to say, is a bit of a general cover of a lot of different concepts. So university is an introduction to everything in the engineering space. And if you sort of adopt that point of view that when you leave university, you're green, you really just had a smattering of the basics. And then once you get into the professional world, that's when you keep learning. Not when you start, sorry, but when you keep learning. And I was pulling out my old textbooks and notes and revisiting things and then learning them to a deeper level than I ever did in university, and applying them in a real world situation that had that combination of theory, practical application, and then the business side of things, financial implications to decisions made and so on. So I think had I had that attitude at university, that this is just learn as much as you can and keep learning, and then realizing that this is just the start of an ongoing process of learning, I might have taken it a little bit differently. I might have been more interested in learning from first principles. I think I was pretty good at rote learning, and maybe did a little bit too much of that, which is fine. It gets you through to the degree and gets you the marks you might need and the outcomes you're looking for, but maybe doesn't give you the depth of appreciation and joy for the knowledge as well.
Yeah, very interesting, some of the things that you've got to work on throughout your career so far. A question now about your work with energy terrain. Firstly, for a bit of context, would you like to explain a bit more about what the company does? And then I'm also very interested as a CEO, how much do you still work on engineering related things, or is it all bigger picture organizational stuff?
So at Energy Terrain, we work with something called a power purchase agreement. So we're more of a financial firm than anything else. So we deploy capital or money into large-scale solar systems for commercial buildings, and then we sell the electrons that come from those assets. And we offer value to our clients by giving them lower energy costs than they would get from the grid. So the second part of your question there is, how much do I get involved with the actual engineers in the position that I hold now? Quite a bit. Not as much as I used to, of course. But because we're a reasonably small company and team, there's about seven of us working, and we have anywhere from 1 to 2 engineers working within the business. I do get involved, and usually it's around providing my perspective on things and bringing in that bigger picture element that you were talking about into decisions made at the engineering level. So yeah, I spend maybe anywhere from 40 to 50% of my time in big picture, and then the remainder would be maybe 20 to 30% on some engineering interactions and discussions, and then the rest would be around the financial aspect, capital raising, conversations with our CFO, conversations with our sales department. So sales is a big part of any business. So I've had to learn a lot there.
Yeah, it's something that the possibility of going into a leadership role in my future career, it's something that is very interesting and appealing for me. And that's why I chose originally the engineering and commerce double degree. I think it's quite a powerful combination, and especially in technical fields, the knowledge base is really needed to get you there, I believe. I was also wondering if you still keep in touch with any of your with other students that were at Monash at the same time as you doing engineering, and where they're at now and those kinds of things.
Yes, certainly. I mean, you make some lifelong friends, I think. So I've a lot of my friends that I studied with, a couple of them are still in the aerospace game. Some of them have moved into banking. Some of them have moved into renewables. Well, actually, a lot of us have moved into the renewable space. You know, and you make friends even outside of your own stream as well. So a friend of mine who's now in America, he's a professor now of geology, and he's done very well in his particular career. So yeah, you make some really good friends in the Monash world, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know all about that, and it sounds like the net of opportunities is very wide as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still keep coming back to Monash. I was invited back to join the industry advisory board, which I've been doing now for the last probably 8 years. It's been very rewarding, and every time I come back to the campus, it's sort of like touching base, you know, and recharging a bit. So, you know, I would never underestimate how powerful it is to be part of a big community like Monash.
To finish off, I was just wondering if you had any recommendations for current students like myself to get the most out of university and set themselves up for a successful future career beyond what you were talking about earlier with resumes and interviews.
So I had a bit of think about that one. It's an interesting thing for me. I think if I had my time again, I would be bold enough to reach out to people, organizations, or get involved with groups and communities that are doing things that I'm interested in. So let's say, I can only speak for myself. Well, actually, Jack, what sort of industry do you want to go into? Maybe that's a good way to start.
So as part of Monash Motorsport, I'm quite interested in the automotive sector, whether that's racing or consumer. I'm not quite sure yet, but.
Okay. So if I was in your shoes, I would be reaching out to if you want to go and work in Formula One, then do everything you can to make connections with people in that space, and find maybe people who know someone and get to know the folks in that area, to really start building up your network. And sometimes that word network can be sort of charged in a negative way, but it's not. It's just a way of getting to know people that have similar interests, and as a result, opportunities will come to you. One thing I'm sure of is that people who have a particular interest or passion in something like to talk and speak and hang out with other people that have a similar interest. So you'll be welcome with open arms. And I just see a lot of younger people, maybe just in the university or just getting out, and have that sense like, oh, I don't know enough to be a contributor, or I don't have enough experience to speak with these people or get involved. And I would drop that pretty quickly and just be yourself. And if you love motorsport, then just get to know as many people as you can in that space. And you'll get paid to work in something you love to do, and think like how ridiculous it is that you're getting paid to do something that you used to do on a weekend in your backyard.
Yeah, well, I think that's a kind of perfect spot to leave it for today. So thank you very much for doing this little interview, Paul, and thank you for your advice.
Pleasure. All the best.
Thank you.